Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay, great. How you doing today? Excited? Well, we're very excited for you, and you got a little glimpse of a video that we created this past semester of clinical teachers. Some of them are already working. They got job offers. And right now, you're going to be embarking in probably one of the most important journeys of making that transition between student, teacher, candidate into the profession of teaching. Today, you're going to be here all day. Actually, the next 3 days, you're going to be here from 9 to 4. We have a lot of information, some sessions that are going to help you as you start the semester. And I'm going to give you a quick overview of what the week is going to look like. But I want to welcome you and invite our Associate Dean, Dr. Belinda Flores, to do the formal welcome. Yes.
Good morning. Buenos dias. Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Claeys, and she introduced herself like you don't know. You're getting a lot of emails from her. As she mentioned, this is a point in your professional development, and you're at a point where you're going to be doing clinical teaching. How many of you were in the professional year where we already have you placed? How many of you that are in that professional year like that idea? Good. You know, we are about innovation. As a teacher, as an educator, you always have to think, yes, this is working. Yes, this looks great. Yes, my students are doing well. But what can I do as a teacher, as an educator, to improve or to enhance the program that we offer? In the case of bilingual education, the type of bilingual program that we offer. In sense of mathematics, the type of instruction that we're providing for our students in middle and high school. How can we ensure they're getting the concepts? So I want to congratulate you for reaching this stage towards achieving your goal of becoming teachers. At UTSA, we have had a long history of preparing teachers who make a difference in students' lives, and this is what we want for you. I was an undergraduate, maybe not sitting in that seat because this building did not exist, but I was a clinical or student teacher here at UTSA and got my master's, my PhD from UT Austin. But I know that the foundation that I got here at UTSA as a UTSA Roadrunner was important for me to be successful, not only as a classroom teacher, and in the future as a bilingual school counselor and career counselor, but as a faculty member and now as Associate Dean. We want teachers who are prepared to work with the diverse population we have here, not only in the city of San Antonio, but in the state of Texas and beyond. Our world is changing, and it looks more like you than a lot of times what we see on TV and what we see portrayed in movies. We want students who remain in the field longer than others. UTSA has that reputation that our teacher candidates stay in the field. One of the problems that plague the profession is that teachers leave the field early, where students stay in the field. Soon you will join these fine teachers that are not only here in San Antonio, but in Texas, but we have students actually throughout the United States. While you have been a successful learner, today, and some of you have already begun this journey, you begin refining your knowledge, your skills, and the confidence towards becoming a culturally efficacious teacher. A teacher with compassion, confidence, and confidence to enact change, support learners, and create equitable opportunities. We have adopted here at UTSA this cultural efficacious framework, and you have begun to see it in your courses, and you will see it throughout your clinical teaching. At the end of your clinical teaching semester, you will be asked, how do you enact these qualities of being a culturally efficacious teacher who is knowledgeable, community-based, and professional? So think of all the experiences that you have had and how all of these experiences will become a culminating experience to help you be the successful teacher that you want to be. I want you to think about those teachers that inspired or educators who inspired and encourage you. Albert Einstein stated, "It is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken the joy in creative expression and knowledge." You want to make education joyful. You know, one of my tasks, Dr. Verstega and I and others, we have to meet with students who have not done well on their Texas exit. And so we do what I call an RTI process. And I, sometimes say, oh, I don't know about that math, or I hate that social studies, sorry, Dr. Anne-Marie or Brian, wherever you are. I love social studies. But anyway, they hate the subject because it wasn't taught in a manner that engaged the students. I don't want to hear one of your students say, I hated math. I had Miss so-and-so, and she made math for me. Math is exciting. Science is exciting. English language arts is exciting. But you know who makes it exciting? You do. So we also look at that and say, okay, who did you have math with? Who did you have social studies with? How can we improve? And this is what we expect you to do. A cultural efficacious teacher develops those positive teacher-student relationships and demonstrates authentic caring for students. Positive teacher relationships. Dr. David Thompson will be talking to you about ethics. I attended a summit last year, and the number of teachers who are losing their licenses, or educators, let me make it more broadly, who are losing their license because they do not know how to maintain those boundaries. You are the adult, the student is a minor. A lot of you are going to be in high school settings. Do not cross that line. For us, if we get a report, because that's another fitness to teach, of a teacher candidate who's in the field, who crosses that boundary, we have the obligation, this is what the state expects of us, to evaluate the situation and determine if we want to recommend that candidate for their certification. Use your brain, use your thinking, use your common sense, use what you came to do here at UTSA, become a teacher. Do not cross boundaries. Develop positive teacher relationships and get to know your students, get to know the community, but always be the professional. One of my favorite philosophers is William James, and he's also a psychologist, who suggested that a teacher who succeeds in getting himself or herself loved by the pupils will obtain the results which one of a more forbidding temperament finds it impossible to secure. You will hear from others and say, do not smile at your kids, do not talk to your kids, just give them the work. Well, that's a robot. We can do, eventually there'll be a robot that can do that. We have online teaching and model. Decide the kind of teacher that you want to be. You, as a future teacher, need to make sure that you have a positive sense of self, of who you are as a professional, in terms of your identity and who you are. Kids look at you as a role model. You may not know it, but in some cases, kids cannot see a teacher who is like them, who has grown up in similar circumstances as them. So you are the one who will perpetuate them, and they may not tell you, but it may be years down the road that they say, you made a difference in their lives. Let them see themselves in the kind of displays, the books you select, and the activities as well. So remember, even if you do not have the same ethnic or cultural identity as your students, make sure the materials, the books you select, reflect who they are. We also must remember that education is a political act. The moment we educate or provide education for individuals, this empowers them to be able to make those critical decisions. This is where doing critical thinking is very important. And not just engaging students in yes and no answers, lower level questions, higher order questions, because this creates critical thinkers. And so, as Pablo Freire said, you cannot expect positive results from an educational or political action program which fails to respect the particular view of the world held by the people and the individuals in the community. Such a program constitutes cultural invasion, good intentions notwithstanding. Thus, the cultural applications teacher demonstrates ideological and political clarity and advocates for students. If you see that something is wrong with the way that children are being treated or not being allowed to learn, because that's your role, talk to somebody. If it's not your mentor teacher, your clinical supervisor is the person who is your advocate, and you will have a lot of contact with the student. We don't want to learn about this at the end of the semester. I have met with students who said, okay, I stayed in my placement, I like the teacher, but I saw this and this and this. And so part of that advocacy, but then do it correctly. Follow protocol. Don't go call the superintendent. Don't go call the president, because they're not the ones who are going to do about. Talk to your clinical supervisor. I saw some of the clinical supervisors step in, and I don't know all of them, but I want to thank them right now. I wasn't able to meet with them last week because I was sick and still have allergies. So let's thank them. You'll get to meet them, but they will be your strongest advocate for you. As clinical and future teachers, we want you to commit to the profession. How do you commit to the profession? But continue to engage in professional development. Take those opportunities that the school offers you to attend PD. Take the opportunities that are available here at UTSA that we offer, either a Saturday workshop or in the summer, the Academy of Future Excellence Research Center will offer a summer bridging institute. We're never a finished product. I can't count, but I won't count the number of years I have taught, whether it's a pre-K teacher, K teacher, school counselor, professor, etc. You always have to be prepared. You cannot just wing it. Kids know it. Learners know it, just like you know it. When the professor's trying to wing it, kids know it too, as little as first graders, even kindergartners. So always be prepared. That is part of being professional. Again, remember that your clinical supervisors, your cooperating mentor teachers are your guides in this journey, and that there are other resources here. And we encourage you to join these types of professional development and a community of learners that you will perpetually be as a teacher, as an educator. Because what works today may not work tomorrow. What works with one class may not work with another class. So you have to have a lot of tools. What's wonderful now, when I think about it, there's a lot of information on the internet. So we have to be critical thinkers about it, because not necessarily everything that's on the internet is true. But there are a lot of teacher resources on the internet. Find out about those resources. Look at the Texas resources. Dr. Ursega will talk about that more, and want to make sure that by the end of this semester you have a plan of passing all your required tests. You have been notified by your advisors, hopefully, and if not, you will hear that come December 2020, the rules of engagement change. The tests change. More tests will be required. So make a plan. Stick to that plan. Pass your tests. Thank you, and I wish you the best this semester.
All right, good morning. How are you guys? Good to see you. I'm Dr. Lindahl, and I've had a lot of you in class, so it's nice to see familiar faces. I'm also the Assistant Dean for Professional Preparation, so I work with Dr. Flores. I also want to introduce the rest of the teacher education team because we are here to help you through this last stage before graduation. So you already met Dr. Claeys, who's the Director of Clinical Teaching. Dr. Flores is, we can clap at the end. Dr. Flores, our Associate Dean. Kim Perez is our Texas Education Agency Certification Officer. She knows everything about education in Texas. Sylvia Mansour is our head of academic advising. Dr. Mike Brasinga is in charge of assessment. And so if you have any issues passing exams or you want to know when to take them, he will give you the information about that. Dr. Yumna Debuk is our assistant director of field experiences. And Dr. Anne Marie Ryan is the chair of interdisciplinary learning and teaching. Also way in the back, I think I see Dr. Norma Guerra, who is our associate dean of undergraduate studies for the whole college. So if you want to give them a quick hand. And so I was thinking back on my way to campus this morning, and I realized that I actually did my student teaching, it was called student teaching back then, clinical teaching exactly 20 years ago this semester. So I'll let you figure out how old I am. I'm not going to say it. But it was really interesting to think back because I was thinking, like, someone in this room, like if you had told me I would be a professor or an assistant dean 20 years ago, I would not have believed you. So one of you might be here in 2040. Just think about that. I know, with flying cars and things like that. So what I wanted to do this morning is in those 20 years as both a teacher and a parent, I think I've acquired a lot of practical knowledge in addition to the theoretical knowledge. So I have 10 tips for new teachers here, and these are pearls of wisdom, so you might want to write these down. Or Dr. Claeys will also be sharing the slides with you. So as you go into the field, my first tip is to collaborate. So you may feel like your lessons, you're implementing them by yourself. But really, you have a whole team of people with you, right? You have your mentor teacher, you have your clinical supervisor, you have your professors, you have, your coursework. So go back, right, to things you've learned. But remember that education is a collaborative endeavor. So when you close the door to a classroom, it's not just you in there, right? Also, don't forget to collaborate with your students, okay? It's not just you versus them, it's you and them, okay? All right, my next tip is be respectful. And so this was some of the best advice I ever got. Both my parents were 35-year public school educators. My mom taught middle school, my dad taught high school. All we do when we get together is talk about school, which is probably why we don't have a lot of friends, but but so when I started my first day teaching high school, this was the advice my dad gave me, and it was to be respectful, not just to like your cooperating teacher or other faculty members, but it's like the front office staff, the janitorial staff, the people who work in the lunchroom, the librarian. Like these are all people who are going to support you on a daily basis. And like when you leave your keys in the classroom and need to go back and the school is locked, like it's somebody who's going to let you in your classroom, or it's somebody who's going to help you make copies, or it's somebody who's going to show you how to run the laminator, right? And so you really always treat school staff with respect. My third is never work harder than your kids. Okay, so if you're the one running around passing out paper, filling up the things in the stations, turning the lights off and on during the video, making sure everyone lines up, you're working too hard, right? Give the papers to the kids to pass out, right? Engage them in the classroom process, but you don't want them to just be sitting while you are doing all the work. Okay, so you already know the stuff, right? Your kids need to be doing the work. They need to know the stuff. Okay. The fourth is to be a good combination of confident and coachable. So you want to have some teacher presence, and some authority in the classroom. So you do want to have some confidence, because like Dr. Flores was saying, kids can tell when you're winging it, right? And they can. My son will come home and be like, oh, Miss K had a rough day today, Mom, right? They totally know, okay, when you're winging it, and they know when things go well and don't go well. So you want to be confident, right? You don't want to be nervous, because kids they'll pick up on that right away. But at the same time, you don't want to be, so confident that you're not coachable. Okay, so teaching is one of those lifelong professions of learning, where you're not just going to continue to learn content information, but you'll learn a lot about humanity, and you'll learn a lot about yourself. And so being coachable, either from your mentor teacher, from your clinical supervisor, even from your kids, if they give you feedback, like, we really didn't like that, right? That was not enjoyable. Just, okay, good to know, right? You want to be coachable, because that's how you learn, okay? The next one is to learn all of your students' names. And this seems obvious, but I think it's important in terms of being a culturally efficacious educator to learn the names how the students want them pronounced. So for example, there is a vignette in one of the English learner Facebook groups that I follow. And it was a teacher, and there was a student, and the teacher asked a question, and the student says, oh, teacher, I know the answer. And the teacher says, oh, George, I'm glad, but, instead of teacher, call me Miss Hayes. And this kid says, okay. And she says, thanks, George. And so the kid says, well, teacher, I know the answer. And Miss Hayes says, well, George, I asked you to call me Miss Hayes, not teacher. It's a more polite form of address. And the kid says, okay, teacher, I will. And she goes, George, I need you to call me Miss Hayes. You try it. And he goes, okay. And so she says, now, what did you want to tell me? And he says, Miss Hayes, can you call me Jorge? Right? So don't forget, right? When you are talking about cultural norms, you want to be responsive to where your students are as well. Okay, so be sure you learn all their names and how they want to be addressed. Number 6 is treat every day like a job interview. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect, right? This doesn't mean you have to wear a suit and tie every day, but this does mean that your fellow faculty members and your administrators are looking at you as a potential addition to their faculty. And they're thinking, would we want to hire this person in August? Yes or no, right? And so you don't have to be perfect, but you want to show them potential. You want to show them you're engaged. You want to show them you care about the job, and that you would be someone that would be a positive person to work with, right? Because that's why our school districts like to have UTSA clinical teachers on their campuses, is they like to hire our graduates. And so they're thinking, could we work with this person, right? And so you want their answer to be yes, we really like them. They're doing a great job. All right, number 7 is keep a journal. So this doesn't have to be like a very personal journal, but it could be a quick journal, even if you type up notes on your laptop or you do voice memos to yourself with your phone driving home from class. But try to keep a journal of what went well and maybe what you'd like to fix. It's easier to reflect the day of than it is like a week later on what went well. Also, some days you just need a few wins. Like something might go wrong, but other things might have gone well that day. So always try to think about like not just maybe what was a challenge, but also like what you did right, what felt like a win for that day. And so in reflecting daily like that, I think it will help you adjust your lesson plans, and it goes back to that coachable piece, right? Where you're kind of coaching yourself by reflecting on how things went. Number 8, wash your hands. You kind of laugh about this, right? But my son, who is in 2nd grade, earlier this fall, I said, honey, how was your day? And he said, oh, well, we had the best day ever. And I said, why? What happened? He goes, 3 kids barfed in the hallway, and another one barfed in our classroom, and now we're all calling it Barf-pocalypse. And I was like, that's fabulous, honey. And so he thought it was great fun. He didn't think it was so funny 2 days later when he was home barfing. And then I also got it. So that was unfortunate. Point being, you will run into things like barfpocalypse, pink eye, head lice. I know, it's gross, right? But the point is you're interacting with people, you're interacting with kids, and you want to stay healthy. Okay, so hand sanitizer, Lysol spray, right? Stay healthy, take care of yourself. Self-care, very important. All right, number 9 is remember that you teach people and not content. Okay? Whenever I say, oh, to a teacher, what do you teach? Oh, I teach math. I teach 3rd grade. I teach PE. But actually, you teach kids, right, about those things. So remember to center the human aspects, right? And also remember if a kid's having a bad day or maybe being challenging in the classroom, that you're the adult. Right? You need to have more patience than they do. It doesn't mean you don't help the child through what they're going through, but sometimes you need to take a deep breath and say, I am the adult, right? I'm going to get through this, okay? And I'm going to be patient. But do center the human aspect of education, because that's really what's at its core. And the last is to be a teacher of tomorrow. And a lot of us think back, just like I was earlier, about how we learned and how we were taught. And so that's actually, there's a maxim called the Apprenticeship of Observation, which is where teachers tend to teach the way we were taught, because we did that for 13 years, right? At least we sat in that experience and absorbed it. But the tricky thing is the way the world is going to look for kids today is not the way it looks for us, right? So I think it's something like 75% of the jobs that we're preparing kids for now don't even exist yet. So it's hard to say, oh, well, I learned it this way and I was fine. It's like, well, you were fine for your time, but you've got to prepare kids for their time. It's not your time anymore. You got to get them for the future. And so that requires a lot of innovation on our part as teachers. And so that also goes back to the lifelong learning piece, where it's up to us to continue to learn, because even the way I teach now is not the way that I started out teaching, which was with like overhead transparencies and things like that, right? If I walked in with a set of overhead transparencies and vis-a-vis markers, you'd be like, whoa, this is it retro day, right? So we have to remember that our kids are going to think that about us now, right? They're going to be like, wow, I learned with PowerPoint slides and iPads. Can you believe that? That's so outdated, right? And now we think it's really cool. So do be a teacher of tomorrow and continue to innovate throughout your career, but especially this semester as you're trying to figure things out. So I wish you the best. I hope these are helpful for you, and we are all here to support you. And we will look forward to seeing you at the induction into the profession ceremony in May when you're all graduating. So, yay. All right, thanks. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lindo. A lot of great advice. And we're going to continue to provide you bits and pieces throughout the day. And as you can see on the agenda, we're going to be here half a day. You're going to receive information, certification information. We're going to have a session preparing for strengths-based clinical teaching and problem solving. Probably there's like some wonders and worries and, you know, what's going to happen? What is my mentor teacher going to be like? And what are going to be some of the challenges or some of those great moments in my experience? What is it that I need to do that when I cross the stage, I'm going to have that certificate and get higher? We have many of you that have already passed the exams. I have principals emailing me since mid-December asking, do you have anybody graduating? Did anybody graduate in these areas? So it's very important for you to be on top of testing and just getting everything done in a timely manner. So we're going to have Miss Emily Young and Miss Renee Tondre Garza come and talk to you about what are some strategies that you can use to become that strengths-based problem solver. And then before they do the presentation, I'm going to go over the folder that you received. Everybody should have a blue folder. So you skip your folder for now. We're going to invite Dr. Bersenga and Kimpe. Silva. Let's see, who's next? Let me move forward. Certification information. Okay, Silva Mansour, Director of Academic Advising.
Hello all, I'm very excited to see you. Yes, you made it to here with unit 3 progress. I'm so happy. You went all go through. And that's why I give you the update, what will happen with graduation and all this little tiny businesses you need to know. Number one, you all want this job, right, as a teacher when you graduate. Not your head. Yes. Then, in order to be a teacher, you need to be certified. In order to be certified, you need to graduate actually from UTSA. And in order to graduate, you need to apply for graduation. Did you apply for graduation? Not in the head. Yes, please. Thank you. The deadline was in November. Okay, so you get a certificate. Okay, if you have not applied, you can still do this. Do it as soon as possible. You need to do it in writing, no more to ASAP. It's a paper form you need to fill out. But you can still do it. Do it now before you go off into your 10-15 secret. The deadline to be in the commencement folder for all your family members to read your name is February 15th. Do it. Don't forget it. If you do not know if you have applied, it doesn't happen, ask your advisor. Shoot them an email. Did I apply? Very important that you stay in contact via email with this university. Once you are in your classroom, you forget everything about what I'm saying, what you're doing, what your advisor told you. But please remember to check your email, because important information are going there, and we have students who did not do this, they didn't graduate because certain things happened. Just check your email. The process is like this. So you go to your course, hopefully everyone gets an A. The grades are due May 17th, something no later in May after the semester ends. We will have commencement. Commencement means walking the stage, party. We do not have the day of the party yet. It will be decided between now and February. This is a college decision. Where do we get this information? Check your email. Registrar's office will send out emails. The advisor will send out emails from me as well. Are we having any prospects to this? Anyone does a prospect program? So everything I'm telling you about applying to graduation, does it apply to you? No. You have already a bachelor degree, right? Because you are post-bac, so you don't need to apply. There was a question?
That was it.
That was it. Okay, good. All right. Now, you will receive a letter from your email from your advisor. I'm sure some of you have probably already said you're going to go to apply. Everything is fine. You can pass your form, just pass your teaching, and hey, you're good to go. So once we check the grades, this will be in May, after you are. You think, I'm done, I have my transcript, so you want to have that transcript. Do not request that transcript on May the 14th after the semester ends and wonder why is your diploma not on there. Why So make sure you're out there. You don't want to request the transcript and then, take time. Diplomas actually will be mailed out in June. You see how long that takes to mail out the diplomas? Make sure you have the correct address. Your diplomas will not be forwarded. And believe it or not, some students have not claimed to someone sitting in the registrar's office, waiting there. So make sure you are not that person. Also, if you have any hold, financial hold or anything, you will not receive the diploma. You have to do that cert before it is made out. So degrees are posted May 29. If for any reason you need proof that you are graduating, other than getting a job in a school district, so let's say you want to buy a new car to reward yourself, and some car dealers give you incentives. They just need to know you graduated with a bachelor. You can request a letter of degree completion from your advisor until the end of the semester, which is May 13. Just tell you, yay, Johnny has applied for graduation. If he passes all the classes, he will be graduated May 13. So that's in heaven. After that, everything goes through the register, but hopefully we will have enough time for the jobs, running all the stuff, hiring us. Your school is being hired for August, so there's a little bit more time. If you need a proof for a school district that you will graduate, Kim will talk about how to correct that in a second. Do we have any questions about graduation? Yes.
You said earlier, and I missed it, you said to email your advisor and ask, did I apply? What was that for?
If you do not know if you have applied for graduation.
Graduation, okay.
If you have applied, if you receive email from the graduation coordination office in your records office, obviously you are on the list. Yeah, but sometimes we don't know that. I don't want to check it. I don't remember if I did it. I'm going back a year ago. Any other questions? No. Well, I hope you enjoy your clinical teaching semester. You will be a different person when you are done with it and when you walk the stage in May. And I wish you good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Kimberly Perez is going to talk to you about the other part of the certification process.
I wanted to say that Dr. Lindahl had a really good point about washing your hands. You don't want to get sick. You want to. I highly recommend that you own stock in some cough drop company, maybe, or even a hand sanitizer company. Tissues. There's like at my daughter's school, there's a lice outbreak right now. So yeah, I told her I'm going to go ahead and burn the house down and start over. I don't want to do it, right? So that is actually really, really good important information. Again, Sylvia had talked about the LOV. That's a letter of verification. So for those of y'all who are post-baccalaureate/ACP students, when you complete in May, you can actually go ahead and apply for your certificate as long as you have passed all of your state exams. So you don't have to wait, okay? So as soon as grades roll in May, which will be around the 17th, and you've applied to TEA, I will be able to recommend you to the state. If you are pursuing a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, I should have a couple of TESOL C or BITE students in here, possibly. You will have to wait until your degree is awarded, okay? Commencement, like Sylvia said, is a party. That is not the day that your degree is awarded. Your degree will be awarded several weeks after commencement. And by state law, I cannot certify you or recommend you until you have received or been awarded your degree. So that typically is around the first week of June or the second week of June, okay? So what we recommend to students is if you want to apply for your teaching certificate, don't do that until May. If you apply now, I'll drop your application because you don't qualify for recommendation. So remember, when it comes time for you to apply for your teaching certificate, you will do that in May. For those of you who are post-baccalaureate/ACPs, you will be recommended in May, and for everybody else, once your degree is awarded in June, that's when I will begin the recommendation process. I lock myself in my office for 3 days, and I don't talk to anybody, and all I do is recommend it all day long. Okay? Now, if you have a school district that is offering you a job, And you need that LOV, which is the letter of verification. You can fill one out. There's a form located in your clinical teaching handbook, which is on the clinical teaching website. Is everybody familiar with the clinical teaching website? Okay, you better be, because that's where all your information is located at, okay? There is a link for clinical teaching handbook, and in that handbook are 1, the LOV form, and 2, instructions on how to apply for your teaching certificate. So that is super important that you access that information to be able to do those things, okay? The LOV basically shows what you are lacking for certification. So majority of you will be the degree, okay? And it takes about 10 business days for us to fill that out. And then we'll email that to you, and then you just print that out as many times as you need to for job offers and for job applications. Okay? Yes, ma'am, any question?
What day in May do you have to register apply for certification?
Anytime in May.
Okay.
Anytime in May. The closer to the end, better for me, because what happens is I get all these applications and I'll see your names, and I don't know who you guys are until I actually click on them. And if you apply too early, you clog up the list, and it's hard for me to keep track of who I'm looking at. Okay? So the closer to the end of May, the better for me. Okay?
Kim, we often get questions from students in the middle of the semester, like somebody's offering them a job. I want to clarify that.
Yes. Okay. So in terms of job offers, let's say you do get a job offer and they want to hire you. They cannot hire you until you are certified, and you can't get certified until you graduate and you pass your state exams. Okay. You can have a school district call me and we'll talk about it. And typically what happens is I'll put you on a list and I monitor when grades roll and when degrees are awarded, and I'll work with that school district to get you taken care of. Okay? But you cannot work in the middle of your clinical teaching semester. That's not how it works. You have to have that certificate in order to be hired as a full-time teacher. For students who are pursuing EC through 6 bilingual, or EC through 6 ESL, or 4th or 8th grade ESL, or 4th or 8th grade bilingual, you must pass all your exams in order for me to recommend you. So let's say you're EC through 6 bilingual and you only take the EC through 6 core subjects and your PPR, and you apply ETE for your certificate. I will not recommend you because you're still missing 2 more exams. Okay? So you need to make sure that whatever program that you're in, whatever certification track or major that you are, that you take all the exams that are related to that certificate. If you don't, your application will just sit there all alone with you. So you want to make sure that you got that. If you're not sure what your certification track is, check with your advisor and check your major, and it'll tell you what you are. Okay? I saw a question.
Just to clarify, so mid-semester we do have an district or a principal that wants to do a job offer, they can contact you directly.
Yes.
But she said
In the middle of the semester they can, but I'm going to tell them I can't do anything for you.
You'll put us on a list if that's the case.
Correct.
You must complete all your clinical teaching hours. That's not it's our requirement, but it's TA requirement.
Right.
So there's no way that we can recommend you to become a teacher unless you fulfill the TEA requirements. And you can't switch from one to another in the middle of the semester.
So you must pursue the certificate that you started with, okay, or that you were admitted under, because that's what we're certifying you for. So let's say, for example, you're a PE student, you're doing physical education, and the school district tells you we really need you to take the math test so that we can hire you as a math teacher. You are not going to be allowed to take that math test until you are certified for PE, because you did not do math with UTSA at UTSA, you did PE. Once you are a certified PE teacher, then you can go and challenge that test, which is called a certified exam, and you can add that to your certificate without having to go through me. You can actually just go straight to TPA and apply for that additional certificate. But remember, you must pursue the certificate that you're doing with UTSA first and complete that, and then you can add other things to your certificate. Okay? Any questions about that? So Dr. Belinda is going to be talking about exams. That's super duper important. Please be sure to pay attention to that because it does affect me and it does affect you in terms of me recommending you in a timely manner. So be aware of all the deadlines that we have set up. TEA like to change it up all the time and they change the rules all the time. So you do want to make sure that you're up to date with all the things that are happening. I do highly recommend that if you are ready to be certified in May, June, when your degree is awarded, that you do that. Don't wait until 5 years later and then call me and be like, okay, I'm ready to be a teacher now. Because I guarantee you the program will be completely different from what you did when you were here, and you will not be able to get your certificate. Okay? We have a lot of people who come back from the past. I got one person that called me from 1998 and said, I'm ready. And I'm like, no, you're not, because the certificate doesn't even exist anymore, and then you have to start over again. So you don't want to do that. With the way the TE operates, we're always changing and always evolving, and so you want to make sure that you are up to date and that you got the actual certificate that you completed. You did all this hard work. You don't want to show up 10 years later and see like, okay, I'm ready to go now, and I can't do it for you. Okay? All right. Good luck, everybody. Be life free, sick free, and I will see you at the end of the
I'm Mike, going to tell you how the testing guy. Keep in mind, if you can all raise your hands, you've been sitting for a while, you can all raise your hands. Come on, doesn't hurt. Stretch a little bit.
Yes.
All right. So, if you have taken and passed your practice PPR, keep your hand up, otherwise put it down. Good. If you have taken and passed your content practice test, leave your hand up, otherwise put it down. If you have taken and passed the real content test with Pearson, leave your hand up, otherwise put it down. If you have taken and passed the PPR real test with Pearson, please leave your hand up, otherwise put it down.
These are the guys
Please
who
give
good
these
job.
people a hand. Short story, I won't take long because I suffer from allergies like many of you and I'm like to be caught in the middle of this. I got an email on December 7th from Natalia ISD looking for a math teacher for their high school. Great. I went to the fall list of people who did clinical teaching just like you were 6 months ago, and I found 6 people who could have filled that job. 2 of them had not taken any of their tests. 2 of them had passed one of their tests but not the other. The other 2 had passed their tests, one was certified, the other hadn't finished fingerprinting. I bring this up because there are jobs there waiting for you, but you have to be sure that you're prepared to take those jobs. So, if you're one of those people who put your hand down, please make a plan to take your test. If you have taken the practice test twice and you have not passed it, contact me and let's talk. I do not want that to be an obstacle for you moving forward. I want you to keep momentum so that by the time May comes and Finn is ready for you, completely life free, you will be ready to be approved. My contact information is up here. Good luck in your semester.
Okay, so you have received a lot of information this morning. The next session that we're going to have is going to be a little bit more interactive, and you need to have access to all these documents that you're receiving a folder. I'm going to go over this folder right now. You're going to have access to all of these through a Google Drive share folder. I'm going to send you a link, that way you can have them handy. But this information is very important. I want to make sure that all of you, before you leave today, you get familiar with the document. We got the information for the mentor teacher. There is a letter, the Dear Mentor Teacher letter, that goes over just some of the basic information that we're going to ask our mentor teacher to complete. In the past, we had mentor teachers do a full cycle of performance assessment, where they did the pre-planning, they did a formal observation, the post-conference, and then they did a summative evaluation. Last year, we do the pop cycle, the performance assessment, and let's just get it done. The purpose of this mentor-teacher progress report is for you to sit down with a mentor-teacher and go over some of the strategies, the lessons that you're working on, and use the teachers use the T-test. We have the T-test, which is the critical teacher evaluation and support system. The T-test, the teachers are evaluated, their performance assessment evaluation is based on the T-test. Well, the T-test was adopted and we're using the same exact domain. So this, there's information in the packet for you to share with the teacher. When you go your first day, there's going to be everything on this side, my left, is going to be the information for you to share with your mentor teacher. There's a letter of affidavit for the teacher to sign, for the teacher to go over the clinical teaching website, go over the handbook. There's a cooperative teacher and clinical teacher handbook that delineates all the expectations. You have your log. You need to make sure that you're documenting all your hours. And you need to have 70 instructional days. When you take a day to join the teacher for a professional development day, those professional development days don't count towards that 70 days. The spring semester is a little bit nicer because we have more weeks than the fall semester. So if for whatever reason you get sick or you need to take a personal day, then at the end you're able to make up those days. But as he mentioned, when she starts reviewing all the paperwork and making recommendations for certification, you need to have the logs and all the signatures secure. There is a clinical teacher evaluation and support system midway report. Halfway the semester, we want to hear from your mentor teacher. So there's going to be the monthly progress report, but then there's this midway report. There's at the end verification or receipt of observation form. All your performance assessment is going to be conducted by your supervisor. The mentor teacher doesn't have to do a formal observation, only the online progress report. But at the end, there's a paper that we need to make sure that we have signatures that the mentor teacher has received a copy. Because we have an online system now, we don't have to make copies and do the copy. The supervisor, when he completes the observation, that's going to go automatically. We need to have the correct email addresses. Now, for principals, we have some principals that want to be copied. So, the principal's email address. Why do we want to share this with the principal?
I'm having some allergies in my ears or like
Can't hear you.
yeah.
Oh.
Maybe the mic.
Okay, sorry, my yes. So what I was saying is just that this set of documents, make sure that you don't misplace them. You share with the teacher, and you'll have access to them as well. The forms, the online forms, there is a document that has the link to all these forms. There is the clinical teacher evaluation and support system, there's the domain. So we just have this information here for you to share your first day when you meet with the teacher, the first week. You can go over it, and that way they can see that we're using the same, very similar instrument as the one the principal used. So when you're co-planning, the expectation is to do more of the co-planning and co-teaching from day one. Yes, you're going to have to do 15 days of full teach, but that doesn't mean that the teacher gets to leave the classroom for those 15 days. And there's information on the handbook about the co-teaching expectation. So there's a copy of the T-test, and your supervisor, they're going to meet with you this afternoon at 1 o'clock from 1 to 4. They're going to go into more detail on the T-test, the syllabus. Yes?
If you have two cooperating teachers, do we need to make a copy of these forms that they need to fill out?
If you have two, we can give you, if you already know that you have two, on Friday, we can have a set for you. And you'll have them electronically as well, so you can email them.
If halfway through the semester we're getting a second cooperating teacher, is there going to be two midway reviews or just one?
For each, yes. Okay, yes.
So just to clarify, our cooperating teacher has not received any of this information in his email. They're not aware of these dates or deadlines or things that need to be submitted by them. We have to present that information to them.
Correct. Yes. They're expecting you, then your supervisor is going to be emailing them between now and Tuesday. Yes, but yes, it is your responsibility to sit down with them and go over the handbook, this information. Yes.
So I started early because we had someone tell us that they requested if we could start early, we could. So I started last week. So does that mean the dates for progress reports and stuff for me should be a week early?
No, you
Or should I
have
just do them on the same days too?
you have submittal dates, so just stick to these dates.
Okay.
Yes. Any other questions? Okay, so that's any questions regarding the forms, the information that you're going to share with your teacher, your mentor teacher? Yes. Okay. You contact your mentor by email, and you should have that information. I don't know if you received form with, yes, okay, my folder doesn't have my a label, but you should have in the folder, you should have a label with your teacher's email, name and school. Yes.
What if our label doesn't have a mentor teacher name?
Okay, if your label doesn't have a mentor teacher, we are still waiting on several districts. They're going back and forth, and we're waiting. So we're hoping that by Friday. Now, there's going to be a couple of you that probably are going to have a mentor on Tuesday. Don't panic. We're working with the district, and that happened last semester. We had some that started 3 days later. Some of them it took a week, but everybody got a placement, and it's just something that we have to make sure that the mentor teacher is qualified. We have some incidents where there's several districts that considered a master teacher, but that master teacher doesn't necessarily meet the TEA minimum requirements to have at least 3 years of teaching experience. So if anything like that happens, please let us know. And that's something that we're communicating with HR and the principals. We need to make sure that you have a qualified teacher. Any other questions? Yes.
The mentor teacher that I have on my folder is not the right one.
Okay. We'll double check on the list. Okay.
My mentor teacher goes to like a lot of meetings during like regular school hours. So do I go with her, or do I stay with the substitute, or how does that work?
Remember, just the meetings and PD, that's encouraged, but the time, a full day should be instructional. And yes, there's going to be a planning meeting, the PLC's meetings. That's part of the clinical teaching experience. So if there's a substitute, you're co-teaching with a substitute.
Okay.
The substitute should have plans, and you're they're co-teaching.
Okay.
There's a question back there?
I recently, this is a different ISD, and I was currently in the process of getting my fingerprints done for them. Do I finish my fingerprints anyway? Even if it's not for the correct?
Can you repeat that?
I have been switched to a different ISD, and I was currently filling out fingerprints for them, and I'm in an appointment. Now that I have a completely different one, do I still go ahead with the appointment to get my fingerprints completed?
Now if your new placement has been confirmed.
What about our help? Because I literally just got this today.
Okay, we can talk to Ms. Debbie on that specific question, yes. And Ms. Debbie is somewhere in the back or outside. So more specific questions, we're going to be out there to address individual situations. Okay, your supervisor is going to go over the other set of forms where you're going to have to sign for the code of ethics. There's some links for you to review the TA Code of Ethics website, and there's also the national website that you need to be very, very familiar. So there's other forms for you to authorize us and the school district to share information related to clinical teaching and other forms that will be requesting from them or sharing. So make sure that you go over these forms, you sign them, and you submit them to your supervisor on Friday or by the deadline. There's different deadlines, and you're going to have a calendar. I think this is way in the back where you have at a glance clinical teaching calendar with a different deadlines. Yes.
I have a question about the autobiography video. Since we're professional year students and our teachers already know who we are, it's kind of awkward to see this video about who we are if they already know who we are.
For the professional year, that was due, yes. You already submitted one. So I don't know if you submitted one, but professional year clinical teacher candidate submitted one.
That was never
Okay. Okay, so then. Okay, so for that assignment, let me look at the syllabus and what is required. But yes, it is kind of awkward at this point to do one. So I'll get back to all professional teachers to see what is it that you need to do in lieu of that. Yes.
One thing about those video or audio my daughter just went through a university with working science and they are making them do video interviews prior to coming. So it's nothing other than you're going to be dealing with in the district.
Thank you. Yes. Did everybody hear? Northeast ISD is asking now for teacher candidates or potential teachers to submit a video as part of their interview and their screening process. So those of you that are still working on that My Story and probably professional year, let me think about it. I will email all of you, but maybe this semester you take the time to create a video that you will be using as part of your portfolio when you're looking for employment. Okay, yes.
I'm a professional year student, and I was told to, because at the beginning of last semester, I created a newsletter for my parents and for my teacher, and I was told that I could submit that to my supervisor, and like that should cover those requirements. So maybe if you did that, but it wasn't required for me to do it.
Okay, and like I said, we'll revisit that and then send a message to all professional here because some of you are traditional and all traditional clinical teaching. Today is a deadline for that story for you to submit to your supervisor. Okay, any other questions regarding any of the forms? Okay, I'm going to introduce Ms. Renee Saunders-Garza. Okay, sorry, there's another question. Yes?
You just mentioned the autobiography is due today for
For the traditional clinical teachers.
So does that mean that we email it to them, or
yes.
This is the first I'm hearing about what it's
Yes, you email it to your supervisor. Okay, one more question.